We welcome everybody to this hearing, but particularly those people that are testifying, because it takes a lot of work to prepare for this. It even takes a lot of work for our staff to prepare for it. So I know that for those that are both government and non-government have to work hard as well. We've heard a constant drumbeat over the past 2 years about the national security threats posed by Russia, attempts to sow discord and inflame partisan differences through social media, and attempts to interfere with our elections through cyber intrusions are real threats. They should not be underestimated. I've held 7 hearings on election meddling. But the media hysteria over all things Russia has distracted attention from an arguably greater, more existential threat, and that happens to be China's effort to overtake the United States as the world preeminent superpower in all phases of society and economy. China has made no bones about doing this through any and all means, whether it be President Xi's stated goal of becoming, quote unquote, the world's biggest superpower by 2015, or the program Made in China 2025, and that's an initiative that calls for a 10-year overhaul of China's manufacturing and high-tech industries. The PRC's plan for superiority, including even economic dominance. The United States remains the most creative, innovative society on earth, although China has made significant strides in various sectors like technology, telecom, advanced robotics, artificial intelligence, and scientific research. One tool of economic advancements continues to be very pervasive. That's economic and other forms of espionage. In simple terms, then, it's called cheating, and it's only getting worse. In the past 9 months alone, the Department of Justice has investigated, charged, and convicted at least 16 individuals and 4 corporate entities in 8 separate cases involving theft of trade secrets. Over the past 5 years, 6 more individuals have been investigated, charged, and convicted by the Department of Justice for stealing research from American universities. One case involves a Chinese intelligence officer who was a deputy division director from China's main spy agency. He's the first Chinese intelligence officer to be brought to the United States and tried in open court. A slew of other Chinese intelligence officials and hackers were charged in a multi-year plan to steal sensitive commercial aviation data. Then there is the massive plot by a Chinese government-owned company to steal U.S. semiconductor technology. These cases in particular highlight the threat of Chinese state-controlled economic espionage. Just last week, we saw the arrest of the chief financial officer of Huawei, the largest telecommunication company in China, and a financial firm owned by China's Ministry of Finance reportedly used various shell companies to conceal efforts to get sensitive satellite technology from Boeing. That technology, of course, has potential military applications. Although those 2 cases did not strictly involve espionage, they point to a broader issue, that being cold disinterest to American sanctions enforcement and a callous indifference for broader adherence to the rule of law. When it comes to espionage, FBI Director Wray has said, quote, "There's no country that's even close," end of quote, to the People's Republic of China. General Keith Alexander called China's estimated gains from economic espionage of up to $600 billion. quote, the greatest transfer of wealth in history, end of quote. China is believed to be responsible for 50 to 80% of the cross-border intellectual property thefts worldwide. Over 90% of cyber-enabled economic espionage in the United States, reports issued this year by the White House Office of Trade and Manufacturing, the U.S. Trade Representative, and by ODNI, all report detailed findings on China's role as a prime cyber attacker and thief of American intellectual property and technology. The National Institutes of Health announced in August of this year that it has discovered NIH grants are going to researchers who are not disclosing their contributions from foreign governments. Chinese talent programs seek to recruit American researchers in order to bring technology advancement back to China. Confucius Institutes, found at many of our nation's top universities and directly funded by the Chinese government, stifle intellectual freedom and quiet all those who would criticize China with revisionist histories. In response to the growing number of cases, the Department of Justice recently announced a new initiative to combat Chinese economic espionage. So I look forward to hearing more about the initiative and any legislative proposals needed to address these. We often get distracted by the shiny objects in front of us. I fear that China is all too happy to have our attention deflected away from the threat that they pose to our economy, our innovation, our business, and our very standing in the world. Nobody is in favor of billions in American intellectual property being stolen. Nobody supports researchers violating the terms of their government grants in favor of foreign government. We all should condemn cyber attacks on government and private sector information and systems. The question is, how can we counter these activities? I hope we can come to an answer. Senator Feinstein.